All right, can you believe we made it through more than half the year already? We are back with our July recommendations of what I found to be top tier books. I will say there were a lot of good reads this summer, and it was really hard to whittle it away. So instead of top 5, I slid another one in there. So we have 6 this month, and there could have been more, but I wanted to condense it as much as possible just because there were just so many good ones, but we only have so much time, right? So I'm going to kick this off right away with this nice urban fantasy shifter romance, Finlay by Lark Taylor. Now, I like Lark Taylor. I've, recommended a lot of her books. I always think her characters are extremely well done. They're complicated and tender, and yet also they got all these issues going on, but in the end, the broken pieces kind of fit together. I really enjoy them. So in Finlay, we've got Finlay, title character, right, who is now in charge of this werewolf pack that Danny has given up on. So if you've read the previous stories, you kind of know where we're at. You can pick this one up. It is the first in a new series, but it's kind of a spin-off, so I do recommend reading them all. You kind of have to go to the very back of Lark's backlist, but it's not a hardship, okay? If you want to just start here and take a look at it, you're more than welcome to. And I think you would be able to understand what's going on without getting too lost. So Finlay is still mourning the death of this woman, Sarah, who was one-sided. She didn't love him back, which is fine. He never pressured her. He knew that he, was always going to be one-sided because she was actually married to Danny, but he was there because Danny trusted him and he was the second. So he was there kind of protecting and guarding and spent time with her. And she's passed away. So he kind of got stuck in this grief loop because he never really felt he had time to mourn, I think. And he just kind of felt guilty at the same time because he never explicitly told Danny that he had feelings for Sarah. There's a whole lot of guilt going on. So one day, Finlay decides to go and get some flowers, kind of like a bouquet, I believe, made up to set at a gravestone to kind of set the grieving process going again, to kind of just remember her in a way. And he picks Chester's flower shop. Chester is a human who has started over in this cute little flower shop in Scotland as a way to kind of just a fresh start from a bad relationship. So he is kind of not ready to allow anyone in. He still has walls really high, but he does have a really fun, sassy employee that's there who also is a little meddling. I love it. It's the dialogue is so witty. I love how they banter together. His employee is always trying to get him to go out, and Chester's no, I'm too old and tired to do anything like that. It's just well done. So when Finn is talking to Chester about what he's looking for, they kind of spark this connection between them. And the story really is focused on these two building this connection. And there's a lot of good communication. Overall, it's fairly low spice. I do really like the spice that's there once we hit it, but it is a slow burn. It's perfectly paced because these two are still both heavily healing from the past. So they both have their scars that they're trying to work through. Finn is still kicking off that grieving process, still in the middle there, and then Chester is still getting his feet back under him and really needing to learn to allow himself good things in a way. There's a little bit of action because it's supernatural, so what would they be without the drama? But I didn't feel that it's overpowering. It might be because this is the first in a new series, so it's kind of focusing more on the characters than on the external drama, but there is a little bit of that. And overall, I just found it to be a really fun read, and you can't really go wrong with Lark Taylor. Got a little contemporary sports romance. I will say that the sports kind of slides to the background a little bit, but False Start by Felice was really fun. I enjoyed it. I decided to throw this one in here because I haven't read any Felice. This is the second in the series, but definitely stands on its own. I haven't read the first and didn't have any trouble following along. It starts off, it's kind of like a two-parter. So we have Patrick and his college days going and meeting somebody at this exclusive private adult club. He's about to kick off his NFL career. He's just been drafted, and he knows he's going to have to hide his bisexualness through his career because it's just, it's the NFL. And so this club is men only, and he ends up meeting this guy and making this connection. However, this club has stipulations where there's like no names, no phone numbers, and always a mask. So it's kind of like, like a masquerade each time they meet up. So they don't really know who the other person is, but they do a lot of talking along with other things. And they do have this connection. And then all of a sudden one day, Patrick wakes up and the guy's gone. And then we have like a gap of time where Patrick kind of like assumingly does his career, and then later is in the midst of getting traded to a team who has a player retiring. And that player and him, I think they kind of know each other, and so he wants to set him up with his personal assistant because he no longer will need the personal assistant. And as soon as the PA enters the room, this PA, Fallon, knows exactly who Patrick is, not just from his football days, but from the club. We know from Fallon's POV that he knows Patrick was the other guy from way back when. Patrick doesn't know for a while that Fallon is the other guy. So there's a little bit of like that going on in the background. I don't consider it a second chance romance. Some people do because they were together for a while, then they had the split, and then now they're together again. It wasn't, to me, a regular relationship. Like, they didn't go on dates. They didn't even know each other's first names for crying out loud. So while it has like that flavor of second chance, to me, I just consider this like a straight up contemporary sports romance. Although, like I said, the sports kind of takes a bit of back seat. Patrick is super sweet. He's like the cinnamon roll guy. He just wants to take care of Fallon. He sees that Fallon works too hard, doesn't take care of himself, always kind of puts others ahead of him. Fallon kind of held this torch for Patrick, and Fallon actually has like terrible parents that kind of come into play, that really neglectful. And so like watching these two guys figure out like the next steps in the relationship it was really heartwarming. I enjoyed it. A low angst all the way. And it was just a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something that's, kind of light, you need a lighter read, a heartwarming read, I would say this was really good. I needed a heartwarming read because this next one, Remy by Emma Jane, is a little dark. It's a little dark. And now it is the second in the series, and you do have to read these in order. This one picks up, I think a few months have kind of passed between the events in the first one and this one. At the end of the first one, they were all in terrible conditions, physically and mentally. This one picks up, they've been physically healed, but mentally there's still a lot of trauma there. I just really enjoy these guys because Gage, Remy, and Tarrant have this interesting bond. There's a lot going on with Remy. It's very sci-fi. So Remy, we know, is this like non-human, which he didn't realize for a long time. He's got this power that he can heal physically other people. He can't heal himself, but he can heal other people. Gage was his protection in a sense, kind of overlooking this quote unquote asset of this company. And now he's grown feelings for Remy. So that's getting murky. And then on top of that, you've got this other guy who showed up from the first one, not really used to space travel, also growing this connection. There's an event that happens that Remy's memories are tampered with, and he kind of no longer remembers Tarrant. You can tell that it's like there's something that's still tracking. So this one takes off, and they get themselves to escape kind of this like cushy prison that they've placed Remy in. And there's like all these space adventures, and there's this tension between Gage and Tarrant because they both want to take care of Remy but have very different views on what that should look like. But at the same time, they don't really. Remy's like, hey, why don't you ask me what I want? So there's like all this. These guys are messy and complicated. If you're looking for messy, complicated, dark, and I don't know, slightly traumatic, maybe a little bit more slightly, maybe just traumatic. This is Grae. Emma Jane does dark very well. I enjoy her dark stories. Her characters are always like kind of complex, and yet I wouldn't say I ever feel like hopeless, although I feel like we might get there. I feel like as for every good event that we get, then immediately like it's like crash and burn. we get for every good event, it's like, oh no, that we know something's coming up to like burn this to the ground kind of thing. It's really good. I'm looking forward to it. There's another in the series lined up. I can't wait to kind of see what's going on. I don't want to give anything away, which is kind of hard to talk about in the bigger scheme of things, but I do recommend Emma Jane if you do like the darker moments. So definitely take note of the trigger warnings. There will be a lot. So make sure that they agree with you. And if you're on board, take a look. Not dark, but could be, maybe. Unleashing Mayhem by Bryan. Look, I can't pass up a Bryan story when I read one. They're just too good, okay? Unleashing Mayhem is the last in this new demon series. When we finally get Maddie's story. So Maddie was rescued by Sasha in the beginning. Definitely mafia stuff. Maddie has grown up in a really brutal environment. The guy that is obsessed with him from the mafia is a horrible person. But what we start off with is Nightmare kind of planting these seeds on getting out of the void and going into Maddie's nightmares and kind of giving some comfort. I really enjoyed the fact that like Nightmare likes the fact Mateo is a tiny bit bloodthirsty. Mateo doesn't want to be bloodthirsty. He wants to be what he considers a quote unquote good person. Although I think Mateo's a good person because he's not violent at all. But he has these like bloodthirsty thoughts and tendencies, especially on people who deserve it. And he allows Nightmare's like, I will be the one to go out there and do this for you so you don't have to. I like that a lot. It was just really nice seeing everything, all the guys from before come together to support each other. You've got this found family going on. I mean, hot. The spice in this is good, okay? You know, if you like monsters and demons, pick up this entire series. It definitely is best read in order. And I mean, on top of that, you just have a lot of emotions and the characters have the nice depth to them. We get a little bit more of Benny, who's such a fun character. It's both a fun and emotional, and even though there are some dark themes in this, it's not a dark book by any means. And there's no, like, I would say, angst really between Nightmare and Mateo, which is nice. I like how it's just kind of like straightforward, a lot of communication. Like Nightmare is like, I'm telling you, this is what I want and how I feel. And then Mateo knows where he always stands, which is nice. There's no like guessing or anything like that. If you haven't read an alien book yet, an alien romance, please, I beg of you, pick up Piper Scott and Renee Fox's Not Written in the Stars, but start with the first one, okay? This is the second in the series. And while it does focus on a new couple, it very much references what happened previously. So you could pick this one up, I think be fine, but you would kind of ruin the first book. And I loved the first book. There's something about Piper Scott, and her writing with Renee Fox has been phenomenal. Look, these guys, these aliens come here and they're like kind of clueless, but like not clueless. And I just absolutely adore the living lights out of them. Okay. So we have Titan, who is Al's brother. And Al, of course, is short for alien. Al's story is the first one. So Al and Titan have not gotten along, but Titan is here as kind of like an ambassador. He has a lot of pressure from especially his father to always be kind of perfect, and so he's always like trying to like show how better he is. He doesn't realize he's doing this is the thing, He's just always kind of like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to ask for questions. I don't need to ask for help. Help is weakness in a way. But he's really intrigued by Ezra, who is Jude's best friend. Now, Jude is human. Al and Jude are the first. Ezra's human. Ezra and Titan's story is not written in the stars. So I enjoyed this one, and I ended up shedding a few tears because Ezra comes across as super chill, but he is actually sometimes a little high-strung behind the scenes. And yet he is like, I don't like you, Titan, because you're kind of a jerk. But Titan's not really listening for a while. And it starts to sort of click that in order for Titan to build this connection with Ezra, he has to allow himself to be vulnerable, which means saying that he doesn't always have the answer, that he does sometimes need help, that it's okay to, like, it's not a weakness, it's actually a strength to know when you have to ask others for support. And watching Titan go through this like internal revelation and like figuring out that he's been doing things not necessarily what he wants, but for what he felt pressured to be, was just, my heart broke for Titan, actually. It's kind of interesting. It's one of those characters where you're like, nah, how are they gonna make me like this character? And then they completely bowl you over by like just this character finally cracking himself open and allowing himself to put like all his soft bits out there for people to see. And the fact that he allows Ezra that, and Ezra finally also allows Titan to support himself. Ezra has been given ambassadorial title from Earth to Titan's planet. And so Ezra, who's like, kind of like, I just want to go home and take it easy, now has to work as like this ambassador, like telling people as they come in whether or not they can land in Earth. It's so, the dialogue and the characters are so well done. Piper Scott has forever changed the landscape of some genres for me. This is M-Preg, okay? So just throwing that out there. I thought that was never going to be my jam. Piper Scott will make you love the character so much that even if it's not your jam, try it out anyway. Do it. I don't think you'll regret it. If you do, come back and tell me in the comments, okay? If you I want to know. It was just so good, and I'm hoping we get more of this universe. There's just it's so good. There's just so many characters here that I'd love to see more stories of. Okay, I was originally thinking of ending it there. That's 5. But you guys, number 6, Broken Highway by Logan Rivers, was really good. Now, again, this is trigger warning heavy. Take a look, assess for yourself. Don't just dive into this one, because there is a lot of trauma between both Noah and Seven. Noah and Seven come from very different, very difficult backgrounds. Definitely a dark book. I've never read a Logan Rivers book before. This is my first. The writing was very well done. I wasn't sure. It was dark. I wasn't sure if I was actually gonna like a couple of the characters for a bit. They did grow on me. The characters themselves grew through this story. It was really good. Noah is driving. That's his thing through this story, is that he's driving. He's just trying to drive away from his demons. He's had a horrible childhood in a lot of ways. And honestly, I think a lot of times he does not want to be here anymore. And then Seven kind of comes along, also running away from home as far as he can get, and kind of like glitches Noah's system a little bit. Definitely a high heat situation. The trust between these two does not come easy. It is hard fought, tooth and nail. It's just, this is a story about two very broken souls who kind of recognize something in each other. It's gritty and hot and just really, really well done. I could not I could not leave it off the list. I had to get the word out that this book is amazing. Okay. I hope Logan comes out with more, because it was phenomenal. You guys, that was a lot. August is also ramping up to have quite a few good ones. Again, like, subscribe, share what you're reading, share if you've read these, share if you hated them, loved them, ambivalent, you want me to cover something else. Any feedback I highly look forward to. So thank you so much, and I look forward to telling you my favorite August reads soon. Thank you guys so much. Take care, everyone. Bye.